Hello, kindergartners. We started reading the story Jack's Garden. And while we were reading, I noticed some words that I didn't know what they meant. And today we're going to be detectives to try to figure out what those words mean. Here are our words. They're planted, blossomed, sipped, and chased. Those are the words that we're going to be trying to find what the meaning is. So while we're reading, we're going to stop and pause and try to figure out what those words mean. All right, so let's read our story. Jack's Garden by Henry Cole. This is the garden that Jack planted. Now there's that word planted. But this page doesn't really help us too much on what planted might mean. We could kind of use some clues that Jack planted. What is he doing? Where is he? I see that he's in the garden. He has a shovel. He has different gardening things like a hose and a rake and a watering can. Now let's see if the next page gives us some more clues. This is the soil that made up the garden that Jack planted. There's that word planted again. So planted has to do with some soil. Let's see if the next page has another idea for us. Ooh. Now this might give us a good clue of what planted means. These are the seeds that fell on the soil that made up the garden that Jack planted. What is he doing? What do you notice that he's doing here? He's putting some seeds in the ground. So it has the soil and there's a garden, and planted means that he's putting the seeds in the soil so that they can grow. So let's draw a picture of that. Let's draw our soil and our seeds in the ground. So planted means putting these seeds in the ground so that they can grow. All right, so we figured out what our first word is, planted. So we still need to figure out what blossomed means, sipped, and chased. Let's keep going. This is the rain that wet the seeds that fell on the soil that made up the garden that Jack planted. These are the seedlings that sprouted with the rain that wet the seeds that fell on the soil that made up the garden that Jack planted. These are the buds that formed on the plants that grew from the seedlings that sprouted with the rain that wet the seeds that fell on the soil that made up the garden that Jack planted. These are the flowers that blossomed from the buds. Ooh, here's that word blossomed. Let's try to figure out what that means. Let's read that sentence again. These are the flowers. We know what flowers are. These are flowers. All over here, these are flowers. The flowers blossomed from the buds. So let's look back here. The last page had the buds. So let's look at this one. Do you see how they're closed up? These flowers are closed, but then here we can look and see now they're opened. The buds had opened. So I'm thinking that blossomed means when those buds open up. So let's draw a picture of that. So blossomed, so we're going to start with the bud, is when the buds open up to have the flower. So we went from a closed bud all the way to an open flower. The bud had blossomed. All right, now we have two more words, sipped and chased. Let's see if we can figure it out. These are the flowers that blossomed from the buds that formed on the plants that grew from the seedlings that sprouted with the rain, that wet the seeds that fell on the soil that made up the garden that Jack planted. These are the insects that sipped nectar from the flowers. Ooh, there's that word, sipped. These are the insects that sipped nectar from the flowers. Let's look at the insects. What are they doing? Well, I can see that they're almost putting their tongue into the flower. They're going onto the flower and they're putting their tongue into the flower. Have you ever had a straw before and you took a drink with your straw in a cup? That's like what sipped means, that you're drinking from a straw and you sucked it up into your mouth and you sipped it. All right, so let's draw a picture. Let's draw a picture of a person, and I'm going to draw their mouth, and I'm going to have a straw in a cup. All right, and they are sipping something. So sipped is like this butterfly is sipping the nectar. Their tongue is like a straw, just like if you would sip something from a cup with a straw. Sipping is having the liquid go from the cup all the way into your mouth with a straw. Sipped. So we know about planted, blossomed, sipped, and now we need to know chased. All right, let's see if we can figure that one out. These are the insects that sipped nectar from the flowers, that blossomed from the buds, that formed on the plants, that grew from the seedlings, that sprouted with the rain, that wet the seeds, that fell on the soil, that made up the garden that Jack planted. These are the birds that chased the insects. Ooh, there's that word, chased. These are the birds that chased the insects. So the birds are doing something to the insect. Now look at this one. I see a bird and there's an insect and it looks like it's flying to the insect, almost like it's trying to catch them. Have you ever played a game of like tag where they're trying to catch you? That's what this bird is doing to that insect. They're chasing it. So let's draw a picture of that. We could draw a picture of a person being chased too, like in the game of tag. So I could draw a person and they're running, trying to catch them. They're running fast. So this person is chasing that person. Just like the bird is chasing the insect. This person is chasing that person. All right, we figured out all of our words. We figured out that what planted means is putting seeds into soil so that they can grow. Blossomed means that the bud opened up to the flower. Sipped means like you're drinking. And chased means that someone is chasing you, someone is trying to get you, like in the game of tag. So go ahead and draw your pictures for each of our words that we learned today, and then post that onto Seesaw.